going on, Jerome's? Beautiful Wednesday morning. Birds are chirping and stuff, and it's time for another Vikings news dump. Well, mostly Vikings. Some Vikings adjacent stuff. But, so Nick Mullens is the king of Detroit. So Ian Harditz, fantasy football dude, he's really awesome, pointed out that the Lions defense has been given away now through the air. Last 5 quarterbacks versus the Lions, Baker, Stafford, Mullens, Dak, and Mullens. All of them have put up well over 300 yards and multiple touchdowns in the air. And Nick Mullens, Nick Mullens is the only one who threw for 400 and 396. Looking down upon the peasants. So you can't approach four bills like me? No big deal. Now, the problem with Mullens is that he threw 6 interceptions over those 2 games, but it is what it is. And I do like Nick Mullens, and I think that he definitely has that gunslinger mentality, but sometimes gunslingers get shot. But sometimes you need to gamble. Sometimes you do need to be high variance. I do think of the backups, he had the best rapport with Justin friggin' Jefferson. You could find a spot plausibly where he's back next year as QB2. And if Kirk Cousins leaves, is Nick Mullens going to be the bridge quarterback to the rookie quarterback TBD? I guess it's possible, man. But again, yeah, Nick Mullens does indeed own Detroit. So we got that going on first, which is nice. And also, is Brock Purdy going to put up 400? Like, that would be the way for him to shut up all the haters and the losers. Whereas, like, hey, Brock Purdy comes out and his ADOT is like 12 and just like dropping dimes all over the place. Woo. Let's go. Let's go, man. Speaking of let's go, so Andrew Sendejo infamously had a hat from back in the day of "Make Football Violent Again," and Dejo was the hard-hitting safety on the back end of that defense. He and Harrison Smith formed a nice partnership for a while before Anthony Harris really got going. But I fully understand that Lions fans would be like, "Oh, you were whining about Kirby Joseph. You want to make football violent again?" Yes, no one wants to talk about it, but that's the thing where the violence in football is why we watch it, the big hits. But there is a major difference and a big, thick THICC line between big legal hits and being dirty and trying to maim players and trying to end careers. Big difference. And honestly, if you can't see the difference, you're an idiot. And your opinion doesn't even need to be taken into account. But apparently Deo's got the hats again. I kind of want one. I kind of need one. I think I'm going to have to reach out. Something I should also reach out to is freaking Pepsi. Come on, man. Coke is better. So NFL, who is your pick for the Pepsi Rookie of the Year? Now, Pepsi Farm remembers when Justin friggin' Jefferson got screwed over by Justin Herbert for 2020 Pepsi Rookie of the Year, but I digress. But they listed 6 finalists: Devin McCain, CJ Stroud, Bajon, Puka, Sam Laporta, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, Stroud or Puka is going to win. But the fact that you don't have Jordan Addison listed as a finalist is just completely ridiculous. And I understand that, hey, well, Devin McCain did some big things in fantasy football. Devin McCain played 11 games. Plus, he was in one of the best running games in the league. He did score 10 touchdowns, had 800 yards. Congratulations. Addison had 10 touchdowns, 900 yards, 70 catches with 4 different quarterbacks, man. So I feel like that should be factored in a little bit. Like I said, he's not going to win. Stroud or Puka probably wins, but just it would have been an honor just to be named a finalist, man. That's all. Also, speaking of awards, Kirk, JEROME, Ezekiel Cousins, who currently is still the Vikings quarterback. Also, conspiracy theory time, man, where Kirk is being still featured prominently on the Vikings socials and some of their promotions, so it's like it's almost like they don't expect him to leave, but argument for another day. Kirk tweeted this up. The Bart Starr Awards honors the NFL player who best exemplifies outstanding character and leadership on and off the field. Bart Starr, the only likable Packer ever. Congrats to Minka for being the 2024 recipient. So Kirk won last year. Minka won this year. It's good times, man. Also, I want to know what the Super Bowl breakfast is. Plus, I feel like Kirk, in terms of breakfast foods, I feel like he's a poached egg guy, or he's a soft boiled egg guy, which is served in like a little cup where you have one egg and you just like crack it and you go from there, like you dip your toast in there. I'm gonna say Kirk's normal breakfast is probably like a half a cup of steel cut oats and some blueberries, a grapefruit, I'm going to say some turkey bacon if he's feeling spicy. Yeah, I feel like that's Kirk. Also, probably, I mean, we call it skim milk, except he probably doesn't even drink lactose or dairy. I mean, seems like an oat milk guy. Anyways, speaking of Kirk, so Davante Adams, who knows a thing or two about quarterbacks, Vikes fan page pointed this out. Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams on quarterbacks he would like to catch passes from. So this is from Davante Adams' podcast. Quote, if we're talking about a dude that can just find somebody, I mean, I like Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is a really good quarterback. As far as availability, I think Kirk's a good player. And Kirk is indeed a free agent. And the Raiders will indeed be looking for a quarterback because, I mean, Aiden O'Connell ain't it. Nah. But could Kirk head out to Vegas? So, like, Kirk heading out to Vegas would be the largest juxtaposition. It's like Ned Flanders, like owning Bellagio or something. I don't know. But here's the thing, too. So, Kirk has a lot of haters and losers, especially amongst the Vikings fan base. And you have Justin Jefferson, who is going to be a generational quarterback, is going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. And you have Davante Adams, who now that he's not a Packer, I can say he's one of the best wide receivers of his generation. I really respect him. I think that he will eventually be a Hall of Famer, one of the best wide receivers in the league over the last decade. So you have JJ, you have Davante, and they're saying that they want to play with Kirk Cousins. They're saying that Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. But some rando jabroni Viking fan sitting on his couch or recording a podcast in his basement. I don't know what that's like. They say, oh, but Kirk is so bad. Oh, Kirk's a financial drain. Oh, Kirk can't get it done in the clutch. Even though Kirk tied the NFL record for fourth quarter overtime game-winning come-from-behind drives last season. I digress. But, yeah, wonder what's going to happen this offseason. Speaking of the Raiders, so after the Raiders just fired everyone, they're bringing in Tom Telesco, who was recently GM of the Chargers for a number of years. So they're bringing him in. Now, the funny thing is, of course, Raiders, Chargers in division, but Tom Telesco's final game as GM of the Chargers was this one, where the Raiders whooped the ass of the Chargers 63-21. Now, no Justin Herbert in this game, yes, but it's so funny that you fire your GM because he literally had nothing to do with this. Like, your GM this time of year would have been getting ready for draft stuff and free agency. It's so hilarious. But, the Raiders looked at that box score. Also, remember that lady? I was going to go as her for Halloween, but then I didn't because Halloween's whatever to me. She was like a cultural phenomenon for like a week. It was hilarious, man. Also, I still think that she's a paid actress because also there's pictures of her being a Vikings fan. It's like, oh, but she moved. Oh, her life story. That's what's going on. Please, but again, the Raiders, after watching the Chargers get their ass kicked, they're like, we got to get us some of that. But either way, it's all good. Something that's not good is Arthur Smith. So Arthur Smith got canned because he literally has all these top end ingredients, but then he burnt them all in the kitchen. Like, he's a horrible chef. And reportedly from Diana Rossini of The Athletic, who's extremely dialed in, more than 7 teams are interested in Arthur Smith as OC. I call BS on that. So Arthur Smith, before he got the Falcons job, he was a whatever offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans. But in Atlanta, he just completely imploded that offense with all of those stars, with London, with Pitts, with Bijan. They did nothing. All right. So, I mean, if you're a head coach, especially one that, say you have a defensive-minded head coach, right, and you're looking for an OC, a head coach of the offense, why would you ever consider Arthur Smith? That's ridiculous. It's just so stupid. 7 teams are interested. Baloney. Name them. Wait. Did his dad, Fred Smith, did he buy 7 teams? Is that what's going on? Please get the hell out of here. Speaking of get the hell out of here, I got nothing. But yes, the Vikings letting go of Dalvin Cook last offseason was sort of a, hey, don't overpay for running backs on their second contracts. But the Vikings running game was pretty this season. And Madison tried his best. Same thing with Akers before he popped his Achilles. Same thing with Ty Chandler when he got opportunities. But it's going to be an interesting offseason in terms of value of running backs because a number of the marquee guys are going to be hitting the market. Saquon, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, all off of either the franchise tag or 1-year Band-Aid deals. Austin Eckler is out there, and Derrick Henry, who's definitely on his last legs. But it's going to be interesting where I know the people. We're gonna do a standalone video about Saquon because I really want him in purple. But I know that people are gonna piss and moan. Is like, hey, why would you think about spending $11 million on a running back, whether it be Saquon or Jacobs? I don't think that Pollard, Henry, or Eckler are gonna sniff that. But why would you spend $11 million on a running back, bro? Well, first off, Barkley and Jacobs are still at their peak, especially Saquon. Saquon is a 3-down threat. He is still in his prime, probably 4 or 5 years left of his prime. Plus, the Vikings literally wasted $13 million on Marcus Davenport last season. So, I don't want to hear it. Adding Saquon Barkley to this mix on offense, baby. You got a stew going. And also, I feel like Vikings fans should be open to the idea of a talisman at running back because we go back through Chuck Foreman, we go back through Robert Smith and Adrian Peterson, obviously, Dalvin. I mean, we are the franchise that's built on D-lines and running backs, and last year we had neither. So, I don't know. But also, Eckler's washed, man. Like, Eckler's really rough last year. Derrick Henry, I mean, I wouldn't want him as a lead back anymore, but like a short yardage power back, does he still have that in him? Sure. Someone who has something in him is Joe Mauer. He's got that dog in him. So the pride of St. Paul, the pride of Cretin-Derham Hall, former number 1 overall pick, spends his entire career in a Twins uniform. First ballot Hall of Famer, HOF. So you love to see it. And Mauer had his fair share of detractors. I mean, the Twins never won a World Series, never got to a World Series, but Mauer is one of the best hitting catchers in the game. Now, should he have moved from behind the plate a little bit sooner than he did? Maybe, sure. But, MVP from back in the day, 6-time All-Star, and, I mean, he's one of the most efficient hitters in MLB history. So, big-time respect to Joe Mauer. And, all right, so Mauer came into the league like just at the tail end when I was stopping giving a hoot about baseball. I mean, my prime era is Kirby Puckett, Chuck Knobloch with the yips, Chili Davis, Kent Herbeck. I guess you put a little bit of Brad Radke and Liriano and Santana in there too. That stanza, right? So Mauer and Morneau and especially Kadire and Torrey. I mean, they were good. They were a really solid baseball team for a number of years. But, I mean, Joe Mauer, you got to respect what he did. But also, you got to wonder. So, Joe Mauer was also a highly prized quarterback prospect, and Florida State reported, I think he inked up, he had a scholarship waiting. I think he could have beat out Chris Ricks. I think that he could have been something. That's back when Florida State was still the thing, right? So, could Joe Mauer have been an NFL quarterback? I think maybe. Who knows, man? You never know. But hats off to Joe Mauer, first ballot Hall of Famer. Very, very much deservedly so. I don't know why A-Rod didn't get in. Is it because he owns the Timberwolves? It's got to be it. It's got to be it, man. Anyways, that's it. Beautiful Wednesday. Vikings dump. Oh, they had mock draft up. Oh, whatever. And you know what to do. Skull production value.